I believe in God. I do. I think there are many things that science can explain. There are certain things science can't explain.
Ilmuwan bidang neuroscience ini percaya sama Tuhan Yesus. Dia akan menjelaskan kenapa, apa alasannya. Karena kan biasa kerap kali ilmuwan, ilmu pengetahuan, ya apapun itu science, itu agak bertolak belakang sama ketuhanan, sama penciptaan, sama apapun itu. Tapi di sini kita akan dijelaskan kenapa sih ilmuwan ini yang udah jenius banget, udah tahu segala macam soal ya neuroscience kan, tentang otak, tentang saraf gitu ya, simpelnya begitu. Kenapa dia percaya sama Tuhan Yesus? Langsung aja kita dengar.
You're talking about the brain and all the, I mean, you mentioned it last night, and this had me thinking. It's like, when you think how all that works, I have to take an aside and say, how could that happen in nature is without a creator?
Yeah, so, well, here's the thing. I mean, we know that the programs, meaning genes, so genes, DNA, and there's DNA, then there's RNA, and then there's proteins. And proteins are the action end of the game where they say, hey, like, grow over here, don't grow over there, you know, become this kind of cell, dopamine cell or a serotonin cell. We know that those mechanisms are incredibly well conserved from mice to humans. Now, certain things happen in the human brain that you don't see in other species, like the elaboration of the parts of the brain that are involved in context and planning, especially. But the memory systems, the ones that control hormones, breathing, heart rate, they're very similar. Not exactly the same, but very similar.
Okay.
When you start to study and understand brain development, as I did, or neuroplasticity, or dopamine, you have to, meaning I don't care if you're an atheist, agnostic, or believer in creator, you have to step back and just go, wow. Now, then, of course, there's this difference among scientists as to who believes in God, who doesn't. I'll just go on record. I'm very comfortable saying I believe in God. I do. I think there are many things that science can explain. There are certain things science can't explain. But I'll even go a step further, which is that all the elements of science are entirely compatible with the idea of there being a God. And I'm not the first scientist to say this. I mean, Einstein believed in God. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists ever, clearly believed in God. There are many atheist scientists. There are agnostic scientists who are just kind of like unsure, right? And, you know, for me, I'm in absolute awe of biology. It's just incredible that we're sitting here having this conversation. It's with language, that there are little sound waves that you're perceiving and understanding. I mean, it's just, and I think the brain represents the apex of incredible in terms of biology. Like the heart is interesting, the immune system is interesting, the liver is interesting, but the brain is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the number of different ways you can move your body compared to another species. Think about what you did today. Think about what I was attempting to do today, right?
Yeah.
Spectacular. Think about technology. These lights, the, you know, Tesla cars, spaceships. I mean, the internet. I mean, unbelievable. And yet, oh, so real.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, we could talk a bit about how well, I'll just say this. Secretly, I've always prayed. I grew up in a split religion home. My family's like the UN. We've got people from Guatemala, Denmark, Argentina, New York. Like all the different political battles are in my family. Super left, super right, libertarians, lefties to the, you know, it's crazy. Thanksgivings can be difficult.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, you know, I absolutely pray. I absolutely love that the idea, but also what for me is really a deep belief, which is that we can't control everything. We're not in as much control as we think we are. And that the magnificence of biology and the magnificence of nature is, it's impossible for me to conceive how that could come about any other way. I've actually started reading the Bible recently, start to finish. I feel like it's my duty to like learn and in some sense compare Old and New Testament. I'm really interested in the stories, but I'm fascinated by the story of us, right? And the story of everything. And so, but yeah, I pray out loud in the morning, sometimes again in the middle of the night if I wake up. And it's only recently that I've been doing this more often.
It's giving you peace.
Oh my goodness, it's given me so much. It's given me peace. And this is gonna sound weird, and probably people are gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" If this, it works.
Mm-hmm.
It works. There's a way in which certain things I was grappling with, I just couldn't resolve. I couldn't do it, and it was all internal, and I just couldn't do it.
How were you trying to resolve these things? Like have an answer?
Yeah, discipline myself. I mean, it wasn't like I was super, undisciplined. I mean, obviously I have a lot of self-discipline, but
Yeah.
I always pray, I want to remove my defects of character. I always wanted to have a deeper relationship to God. I always wanted that. And I kind of was like, why don't I have that? Well, duh. That's like saying I want to be fit. Why I'm not fit? Well, because you're not running, you're not lifting, you're not doing the things. It was like, and it was a couple of different people that kept showing up in my life, and they were doing it, and it was like, well, pray.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned, and I certainly try and do this, that a lot of prayer is about listening. And a lot of prayer is about you ask for things or listen for things, and then an hour later, 2 days later, you go, wait. Like, it doesn't happen in the moment necessarily, just like fitness. I don't want to compare fitness. I don't want to trivialize prayer by comparing to fitness, but there's some parallels that are relevant. Yeah.
It's consistent work.
Yeah, it's consistent work. And then all of a sudden, like, things come up. And you're like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. That makes so much sense.
Ya, menarik banget apa yang disampaikan. Bagaimana seorang ahli, ini ahli loh, ilmuwan. Yang ya semakin kita tahu apa yang ada, bagaimana otak bekerja, bagaimana saraf bekerja, bagaimana semuanya ada suara, kalian bisa mendengar ini, kenapa bisa teknologi diciptakan seperti ini. Kita cuma bisa bilang, wow, otak itu kalau tiba-tiba jadi gitu aja, nggak ada yang ciptain, mustahil gitu loh. Kayak terlalu gila, terlalu keren, terlalu luar biasa. Dan makanya dia percaya pasti ada higher power, pasti ada kuasa yang lebih tinggi daripada manusia yang ciptain semua ini. Kok bisa jadi serapih itu? Kok bisa di dalam tubuh bisa berfungsi? Kok bisa nafas ini otomatis gitu ya? Luar biasa. Pasti ada Tuhan. Dan tadi dia bilang, kalau kamu mau untuk bangun hubungan lebih lagi sama Tuhan, dia utarakan kayak gym. Kamu mau badan yang terbentuk, kamu punya badan yang sehat gitu ya. Enggak dalam satu malam olahraga langsung sehat, langsung terbentuk otot-ototnya, enggak kan. Konsisten terus. Sama dengan baca firman. Kita bilang kita mau dekat sama Tuhan, kita mau bangun hubungan sama Tuhan, tapi nggak baca firman. Ya nggak maksimal lah. Itu aja untuk video kali ini. Semoga kamu terberkati. Kalau terberkati, boleh tolong di like videonya, di subscribe juga. Mungkin share ke teman-teman yang membutuhkan video ini. Itu aja dari aku. God bless you.